In Proverbs 26:11, Solomon makes one of the most disturbingly vivid analogies in all of Scripture. Like a dog that returns to his vomit is a fool who repeats his folly. This mental image is impactful for all, but offensive to some. I wonder why. Why are we terribly appalled by the regurgitation of a household pet, but not our transgression and rebellion against a holy God? Why is dog puke so disgusting, gross, and nasty to us when we are not even fazed by the foolish depravity that separates us from a right standing with our Creator? Let us not glamorize and take our folly so lightly. In this passage of Scripture, I believe Solomon uses this alarming imagery to communicate a timelessly significant warning. Do not be a fool and go back to folly. Move forward. When considering our folly and its likeness to the dog's vomit, there are several correlations we see. Like a dog should not return to his vomit, we should refrain from returning to things that have already made us sick, been removed from us, and have proven themselves unable to satisfy. We are so quick to return to the foolishness that has already made us sick, just like a dog that goes right back to eat whatever it was that made him vomit from the start. Like the children of Israel desiring enslavement in Egypt when God delivered them from their bondage, we run back to the familiar, even when we know that it is not God's best for us. Many of us go back to this unhealthy foolishness because we have found our whole identity in the sickness of our own souls. We say stuff like, I'm just an angry person. I'm not really the loving type, and service isn't my thing. But what we may really mean is that the depravity of our sin nature is what makes us who we really are. Lot's wife had so identified herself with the people and city of Sodom that she turned back and was destroyed with the city. Although we may not lose our physical lives like her, we far too often stay enslaved to the past when Jesus is inviting us to move forward in Him. John Wesley's words are true. Our future is as bright as the promises of God, but we continue to go back to the things from which Christ died to set us free, and we keep getting sick. Like a dog that returns to his vomit is a fool who returns to his folly. Our foolishness makes our spiritual selves sick with sin, but what is even more tragic is how quickly we return to it, even when it has been removed from us. It is foolish enough that a dog returns to this thing that has made him sick, but why does he want to go back to something that has already been taken out of him? And why do we? When God's gracious work of sanctification begins expelling folly from our lives, it is not a comfortable journey. Surrender to the Lordship of Christ is no easy endeavor. Dietrich Bonhoeffer wisely noted that salvation is free, but discipleship will cost you your life. Throwing up the sin, foolish deeds, depravity, and folly we have held down for so long should not be something we want to go through twice. What is more, it will probably be even worse the second time around. Puking was not enjoyable for the dog the first time, and the highest likelihood is that eating it again will make him even sicker, but he still returns. Don't we do the same? Why? Like a dog returns to the bad thing that has already come out of him, I believe we most often return to our folly, hoping that this time it will finally be able to fulfill us. We must stop going back, wishing to be satisfied by something that has already proven itself unable to satisfy us. We have already tried it once and it did not suffice, yet we return. Just like a dog goes back to this food or whatever it may be that was not sufficient to satisfy him, we return to the sin and foolishness that has proven itself to be harmful and give it another go. Maybe this time it will finally be enough. Albert Einstein has been attributed with saying, "Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results." Could this be said of our repeated offense in folly? Most certainly. It is senseless to believe that we can go back to something that has already made us sick and is unable to satisfy, but find health and fulfillment there this time around. I am reminded of my own foolish experiences in high school when I dated and broke up with the same guy 5 different times. Each time we would determine to make it work, but we kept breaking up and getting back together. After 2 miserable years, he finally moved away. And if that had not happened, our ridiculous cycle of trying to fix a malfunction of a relationship probably would have continued for several more years. As comical as it may seem now, the futility and potential harm of turning back is not a laughing matter. It can be dangerous, but at minimum, it is illogical. Nonetheless, I would dare say that every day of our lives, we are at least tempted in this manner. We are deceived into believing that what is needed is this thing we have already tried. And it is crazy. The good news of Proverbs is that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Jesus saves us from our folly and foolishness apart from him. We do not have to continually go back to the things that have already made us sick, have been removed from us, and have not satisfied. We can move forward in him, but we must leave where we are in order to get where we are going. It is encouraging to know that God is relentlessly pursuing his glory and our joy despite our frequent relapses into folly. So may our hearts echo the words of Paul in Philippians 3. Forgetting what lies behind and straining forward to what lies ahead, I press on.